And every year on the date of the accident, it runs again as a warning to others, plunging into the gap, shrieking like a lost soul.
Percy, what are you talking about?
The ghost train.
Driver saw it last night. Where? Asked Thomas and Toby.
He didn't say.
Oh, it makes my wheels wobble to think of it. Huh, said Thomas. You're just a silly little engine. I'm not scared. Thomas didn't believe in your ghost, said Percy next morning. His driver laughed. Neither do I. It was a pretend ghost on television. Percy was disappointed. That evening, he came back from the harbour. Percy knew where he was, even in the dark. Crow's Farm Crossing. We shan't be long now. He liked running at night. The rails hummed and the signal lights shone green. But a broken cartload of lime lay ahead. Sam the farmer had just gone for help. Percy broke the cart to smithereens. Lime flew everywhere. He puffed quickly to the nearest signal box. Percy's driver explained what had happened. I'll see to it, said the signalman, but you'd better clean Percy or people will think he's a ghost. Percy chuckled. Do let's pretend I'm a ghost and scare Thomas. That'll teach him to say I'm a silly little engine. Toby promised to help. Thomas was being oiled up for his evening train. Percy's had an accident, cried Toby. Poor engine, said Thomas. Botheration! That means I'll be late. They've cleared the line for you, but there's something worse. Out with it, Toby. I can't wait all evening. I've just seen something, said Toby. It looked like Percy's ghost. It said it was coming here to warn us. Huh! Who cares? Don't be frightened, Toby. I'll take care of you. Pee, pee, pip, 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 pee. Let me in! Let me in! Wailed Percy. No, no, not by the smoke of my chimney, chim. I'll chuff and I'll puff and I'll break your door in. Oh dear, exclaimed Thomas. It's getting late. Oh, I'd no idea. Oh, I must find Annie and Clarabel. It was morning when Thomas returned. Where have you been? Asked Toby. Ah, well, said Thomas. I knew you'd be sad about Percy, and I didn't like to intrude. I slept in the goods shed, and... Oh, sorry, can't stop. Got to see a coach about to train. Percy was none the worse for his adventure and was still enjoying himself enormously. He had heard everything. Well, 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 what do you know about that? Anyone would think, chuckled Toby, that our Thomas had just seen a ghost.
The engines on the island of Sodor look forward to Halloween. They love the Fat Controller's fireworks and the children dressing up as wizards and witches. They also love Edward's spooky stories. They say that on Halloween, the ghost engine returns to the smelters looking for his lost woo-woo whistle. Ooh, ah, spooky, the engine said, all shivering a little. Later, the Fat Controller arrived. Thomas, Percy and Jock, I have a special job for you, he said. You are to collect some scrap from the smelter's yard tonight. on Halloween. Don't worry, you will be back in time for the fireworks. Percy isn't worried about missing the fireworks, teased Thomas. He's a scaredy engine. I am not, called Percy, but he was, a little. At the smelters, all Percy could think about was Edward's ghost engine. Thomas knew Percy was scared, so he teased him even more. What's that up there? Thomas squeaked. Is it a spook? It's just a piece of twisted scrap, Percy said nervously. Isn't it? Thomas was having fun. He kept on teasing Percy. Careful the ghost engine doesn't get you, Thomas said. There's no such thing as ghosts, snapped Percy. Duck felt sorry for Percy. Nobody's brave all the time, said Duck. But I'm not a scaredy engine, Percy insisted. The job was nearly complete. Well done, the yard manager said. Now I'll need one engine to finish up. Duck wanted to pay Thomas back for all his teasing. Please, sir, he said. I'm sure Thomas wouldn't mind staying. Of course not, Thomas boasted. I'm not a scaredy engine. So Duck and Percy left. When Thomas was by himself, every sound and every shadow was spooky. He was beginning to feel very scared. There's no such things as ghosts, he said nervously. Who's there? Thomas was so busy looking for ghosts, he didn't watch where he was going. The chains felt like ghost fingers. Something's got me! Thomas wheeshed and set off an old steam whistle. The ghost whistle, said Thomas, and he raced away as fast as his wheels could carry him. The ghost engine is after me! It was naughty of Thomas to tease you, Percy, said Duck. He was only playing, said Percy. I hope he hurries up. I wouldn't want him to be late for the fireworks. He's after me! I don't think he'll be late, said Duck. Duck and Percy joined the other engines for the fireworks. Where's Thomas? Percy asked. He'll miss all the fun. It would serve him right after all his teasing, Duck said. But Percy was worried. He went to look for his friend. He found Thomas all alone in the shed. Are you all right, Thomas? He said. Yes, I'm sorry I teased you, Percy, Thomas said. Duck was right. We all feel scared sometimes. And we all have to say sorry sometimes, said his friend. So come on, Thomas. We can watch the fireworks just as well from here. And he was right.
One day, Edward was talking to Trevor when Douglas steamed by. He was pulling a train of heavy coal trucks. Come on, Edward. Stop gossiping in the sun when there's work to be done. Later, Edward spoke to Douglas. Trevor and I are old friends, and you and he have a lot in common too. Och, aye, quizzed Douglas. And what'd that be? Scrap, said Edward quietly. Douglas gasped. Don't mention that word. It makes my wheels wobble. It does the same to Trevor, replied Edward. He was being sent to the scrapyard, but the vicar and I saved him. And now he's really useful again. Even so, the Fat Controller certainly does need another steam engine here. Aye, and quickly, sighed Douglas. That night, Douglas was still working. He had taken the midnight goods train to a station at a faraway part of the island where only the diesels work. He was just shunting, ready for his return journey, when... That sounds like a steam engine, he thought. The hiss came again. Who's there? Asked Douglas. A whisper came. Are you a Fat Controller's engine? I intrude it. Thank goodness. I'm Oliver, and I'm with my brake van Toad. We've run out of coal and have no more steam. But what are you doing? Escaping? From what? Scrap? Douglas shivered. Then he remembered Edward's story about saving Trevor. I'll be glad to help you, he said. It'll have to look as if you're ready for scrap, and I'm taking you away. The drivers and firemen agreed to help too. Everyone worked fast. No time to turn around, panted Douglas. I'll run tender first. Come on. But before they could clear the station, they were stopped. Aha! Exclaimed the foreman. A Great Western engine and a brake van too. You can't take these. Ah, but they're all for us, said Douglas's driver. See for yourself. The foreman looked all over Oliver. Seems in order. Right, away, guard. That was a neat thing, puffed Douglas. We've had worse, smiled Oliver, and they forged ahead. It was daylight when their journey ended. We're home, cried Douglas. Shh, said his driver. There are the works. We'll find a place for Oliver. Oliver said goodbye and thank you, and Douglas puffed away. The next day, Douglas told the other engines all about Oliver. The Fat Controller will have to know, said James. Douglas should tell him at once, added Gordon. Well, here he is, said a voice. Now, what's this all about? Beg pardon, sir, but we do need another engine. Yes, sir, ventured Gordon. A steam engine, sir. I'm afraid that unless one is saved from scrap, there's little hope. But, sir, burst out Douglas, one has. Yes, indeed. And thanks to you, Douglas, he is now at our works. Oliver is just what we need for Duck's branch line. Everyone cheered. Now Oliver and Toad are mended and painted in full Great Western colours. Duck and Oliver are happy on their branch line. The others laughed at first and called it the Little Western. Duck and Oliver were delighted, and so the Little Western it will always be.